Welcome to this powerful, emotional, and deeply inspiring story of one of the most iconic car brands in the world, BMW. This is not just a business story. This is a story of war, failure, struggle, reinvention, and global success. This is a story of a company that was once banned from building engines, but came back stronger than ever. A company that was once on the edge of collapse, but rose to become a symbol of power, luxury, and engineering excellence. BMW is not just a car brand. It's a dream. It's a lifestyle. It's a global symbol of victory through pain. This story will teach you about history, success, innovation, and the power of never giving up. And it will also help you improve your English, because everything is told in easy, clear, and beginner-friendly language, perfect for listening practice, storytelling, and real-world vocabulary. So if you're learning English, or if you're searching for a story that will inspire you, educate you, and change the way you see failure, watch this video till the end, because this is the real full story of BMW. From warplanes to luxury cars, from ashes to empire, from nothing to global domination. And remember, subscribe to this channel if you want more powerful stories that improve your English and your life. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The Beginning. Before BMW was born. Let's go back to the late 1800s, to a time before BMW even existed. At that time, Germany was going through massive industrial growth. New factories, machines, and technologies were being built every day. The world was changing, fast, but nobody knew that one of the most powerful car companies in history was about to be born. Not from cars, not even from roads, but from the sky. The original name of BMW was not BMW. It all began in 1913, when a brilliant engineer named Karl Rapp started a company in Munich, Germany, called Rapp Motorenwerke. He was not building cars. He was building airplane engines. Germany needed powerful engines to compete in the First World War, and Rapp's company became a major supplier. His engines were strong, reliable, and fast. Exactly what German aircraft needed. But Rapp was not alone. In the same city, another mechanical genius named Gustav Otto was also building aircraft engines under the name Otto Flugmaschinenfabrik. Yes, the Otto family. He was the son of Nikolaus Otto, the man who invented the four-stroke internal combustion engine. These two men, Karl Rapp and Gustav Otto, were building the future of flight. But after years of separate growth and changes, something massive happened. In 1916, their companies were merged together to form a new company, Bayerische Flugzeugwerke AG, or BFW for short. And then, just 1 year later, in 1917, this company changed its name. The new name was BMW, Bayerische Motorenwerke, which means Bavarian Motor Works. The logo they chose? It was a blue and white circle, inspired by the flag of Bavaria, the state in Germany where it was founded, and many people believe it also represents a spinning airplane propeller. BMW was born. But still, they weren't building cars. They were building airplane engines, and they were doing it extremely well. By the time World War I was fully in motion, BMW had become a key part of the German military supply system. Their engines were known for their performance and power in the sky. One of their most famous early engines was the BMW 3A, built in 1917. A six-cylinder inline engine used in German fighter planes. It was powerful enough to fly high without losing strength, a huge advantage in aerial combat. But then, everything changed. Germany lost the war in 1918, and the Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, banned Germany from producing aircraft or aircraft engines. This meant BMW, a company born to build airplane engines, was now illegal in its own industry. They were crushed. Their purpose was gone. Their market was gone. Their product was banned. This was their first near-death moment. But BMW did not give up. After being banned from aircraft engine production, BMW had two choices. 1. Close the company and disappear. 2. Reinvent themselves. They chose the second. In 1923, they built something new. It was a motorcycle, the BMW R32. This was a breakthrough. It had a flat twin boxer engine, shaft drive, and the unique horizontal cylinder design that BMW bikes are still famous for today. It was beautiful, strong, fast, and reliable. And just like that, BMW moved from air to road. Their motorcycles became popular across Germany and Europe. They were seen as premium, high-quality machines. In just a few years, BMW was once again profitable, respected, and growing. But they were not done. There was one more step to complete the transformation: building cars. First BMW car. In 1928, BMW made a bold move. They bought a company called Fahrzeugfabrik Eisenach, which was already building small cars under the name Dixie. BMW took the design of the Dixie, based on a license from the Austin 7 in England, and improved it. The result? The BMW 3/15. This was BMW's first car. It was small, affordable, and successful. It wasn't a luxury machine yet, but it proved something very important. BMW could build cars, and people would buy them. But just as BMW began to find its identity on the road, the world around it changed again. In the most brutal way. The year was 1933. Germany was changing, politically, socially, and dangerously. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party had come to power, and their focus was clear: military expansion, more weapons, more planes, more tanks, more war. And for a company like BMW, whose roots were in engineering powerful engines, that meant one thing: BMW was pulled back into the world of military production. As World War II began, the German military turned to BMW once again. Not for cars, not for motorcycles, but for airplane engines. BMW had the knowledge. They had the engineers. They had the factories. And Germany had no time to waste. BMW became one of the main producers of aircraft engines for the Nazi war machine. Some of their most powerful engines included the BMW 801, used in the famous Focke-Wulf FW-190 fighter plane. BMW 003, one of the world's first jet engines, used in the Messerschmitt Me 262, the first jet-powered fighter aircraft in history. Yes, BMW was literally helping build the future of flight, with advanced engine technology far ahead of its time. But that also meant they were building weapons of war. Here's a truth that must be told honestly. During World War II, as BMW increased its military production, the German government, under the Nazi regime, began using forced labor. Tens of thousands of people, including prisoners of war, concentration camp victims, and foreign civilians, were forced to work in BMW factories under horrible, inhuman conditions. These were innocent people, often treated like machines, not humans. They were hungry, scared, beaten, and had no choice. And yes, BMW was part of that system. This is a painful truth in BMW's history, and the company has later acknowledged this dark past. In fact, BMW's own historians and researchers have published detailed reports about this, and the company has supported projects and foundations to remember the victims and make sure this never happens again. But it's important to understand, success stories are not always clean. Real history is full of mistakes, pain, and truth, and BMW's survival came at a terrible cost during the war. In 1945, World War II ended. Germany had lost, and the price of that loss was absolute destruction. When Allied forces, especially the US and UK, bombed German industrial areas, BMW's factories were targeted. Their Munich plant, the heart of BMW, was heavily damaged by air raids. Their Eisenach plant, where they built cars, ended up on the other side of the new post-war border. In East Germany, under Soviet control, BMW lost everything. They lost their factories, their workers, their car production, their engine business, their brand image. Worse than that? The Allied Control Council, which governed Germany after the war, banned BMW from producing anything mechanical. No planes, no engines, no motorcycles, no cars. They were completely frozen. For 3 years, from 1945 to 1948, BMW was legally banned from doing what it was born to do. Can you imagine that? A company that once made cutting-edge jet engines, now reduced to nothing. They had to find other ways to survive. So what did BMW do? They started making cooking pots. Yes, cooking pots. And bicycles and household items. Anything that could be made from scrap aluminum left from bombed aircraft and engine parts. They even made farm tools and kitchen equipment. It was not glamorous. It was not profitable. But it kept a few people employed, and it kept the name alive. By 1948, BMW was allowed to restart limited production, but only for motorcycles. They brought back the BMW R24, a single-cylinder motorcycle. It sold reasonably well, but not enough. In 1951, BMW tried to get back into car production with the BMW 501, a luxury sedan. But here was the problem. The car was too expensive to build. The car was too slow compared to competitors. The car was too expensive for post-war Germans to afford. BMW was bleeding money. The company had fewer than 10,000 employees. They were losing money every single year. By 1959, BMW was almost bankrupt. They were worth almost nothing. They couldn't pay debts. They couldn't compete with Mercedes-Benz, which was dominating the luxury segment. A deal was proposed to sell BMW completely to Mercedes-Benz. Yes, BMW was almost swallowed up by its biggest rival. It was almost gone forever. But then, something happened that saved BMW's life. A man named Herbert Quandt, a powerful German industrialist, saw what was happening. He believed in BMW, even when everyone else thought it was finished. Even when Mercedes was ready to buy it. He said no. He personally invested millions of dollars, in today's money over $100 million, into BMW. He took major control of the company. He restructured the debt, changed the strategy, and saved BMW from collapse. Because of Herbert Quandt, BMW remained independent. BMW survived. BMW had a second chance. This was BMW's turning point. After 2 wars, after being banned, after financial failure, BMW was still standing. But survival is not the same as success. Chapter 2. Reinvention. The ultimate driving machine is born. By 1960, BMW had no strong product lineup, no luxury image, no brand identity. Its only recognizable product was its motorcycles. Still reliable, but not profitable enough to carry the whole company. They had just avoided being swallowed by Mercedes, but they were still seen as small, confused, and financially weak. If they wanted to survive, BMW needed to do three things. 1. Build a car that people loved. 2. Stand for something powerful. 3. Create a long-term vision. And that's where the revolution began. In 1961, at the Frankfurt Motor Show, BMW revealed something totally new. A car called the BMW 1500. It was part of what would become known as the Neue Klasse, which means new class in German. Why was this car so special? Because it was the perfect combination of everything BMW wanted to become. Stylish, but not flashy. Compact, but powerful. Comfortable, but sporty. Affordable, but premium. The 1500 had a 4-cylinder engine, modern design, independent suspension, disc brakes, and could reach 90 miles per hour, 145 kilometers per hour. Very impressive at that time. It had enough space for families, enough power for enthusiasts, and enough soul for people to feel connected. And it worked. The BMW 1500 was an instant hit. Between 1962 and 1972, BMW sold over 300,000 units of the Neue Klasse cars, including the 1500, 1600, 1800, and 2000 models. That might not sound huge today, but at the time, it was life-saving. BMW went from losing money to becoming profitable again. They expanded production, hired more workers, and began investing in new research and design. For the first time in decades, BMW had a future. What made BMW different was not just engineering. It was the feeling they gave the driver. BMW didn't want to copy Mercedes-Benz. They didn't want to build big, heavy, slow luxury sedans. Instead, they focused on something different. Driving pleasure. They wanted to build sporty cars, not just comfortable ones. They wanted cars that moved fast, turned smooth, and felt alive in your hands. BMW started calling this idea Freude am Fahren in German, which means the joy of driving. Later, this would become the famous slogan, the ultimate driving machine. It was simple, powerful, emotional. BMW was not just selling cars, they were selling a feeling of freedom. In the late 1960s, BMW began looking outside Germany. They knew the real money was in the United States, the United Kingdom, Asia, especially Japan. So they began building new partnerships and distribution networks. In 1972, BMW of North America was officially created. Why was this important? Because America was car-obsessed, and it was home to muscle cars, racing culture, and car magazines. If BMW could succeed there, they could succeed anywhere. And guess what? They did. BMW drivers in the US loved the balance of European engineering and sporty performance. It felt like nothing else on the road. The BMW 2002, released in 1968, became a cult car in the US. It looked simple but drove like a beast. Car and Driver magazine called it one of the greatest cars ever made. And sales exploded. By 1975, BMW had become a respected international brand. In 1973, BMW completed its new global headquarters in Munich, Germany. It was shaped like a 4-cylinder engine, a bold symbol of BMW's engineering soul. Next to it, they built the BMW Museum, shaped like a giant bowl. These buildings weren't just offices, they were statements. BMW was saying to the world, we are not just a car company, we are an engineering legacy, and that blue and white circular logo? It became a global symbol of precision, elegance, passion, speed, power. Now comes one of the most important moments in BMW history. Between 1972 and 1977, BMW launched the three core models that still define the company today. 1. BMW 5 Series, 1972. Midsize luxury sedan, perfect for families and executives. Balanced, beautiful, reliable. 2. BMW 3 Series, 1975. Compact sports sedan, affordable but fast. Became BMW's best-selling car of all time. Still exists today. More than 16 million sold. 3. BMW 7 Series, 1977. Full-size luxury sedan, designed to compete directly with Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Elegant, high-tech, and powerful. This wasn't random. BMW was organizing its identity. Each model had a number for the class, and more numbers for the engine. Suddenly, the world began to understand the BMW system. They weren't just buying a car, they were joining a club. By 1980, BMW was no longer just surviving. It was thriving. Some numbers to show the transformation. In 1960, BMW made around 20,000 cars per year. By 1980, BMW was making over 350,000 cars per year. By 1990, that number crossed 550,000 per year. Their revenue in 1990 was around $21 billion, adjusted for inflation. Their cars were sold in over 120 countries. Their motorcycles were still respected. Their engineering department was working on next-gen engines, design, and even concept cars. From a company that once made cooking pots to survive, BMW was now a symbol of power and success. By the end of the 1980s, BMW had established itself as a world-class brand, no longer struggling, no longer in survival mode, but thriving, expanding, and winning. They had created the 3 Series, 5 Series, and 7 Series, opened new factories, and entered major markets like America, Japan, and the Middle East. But BMW didn't want to be just a car manufacturer. They wanted to be known as the heartbeat of driving passion, a brand that represented adrenaline, precision, luxury, and power, all in one. To do that, they had to do something bold. They had to enter the world of speed. BMW knew that to prove its engineering dominance, it had to win on the racetrack. And so, in the 1970s and 80s, they began pouring their soul into motorsport. This wasn't just a branding move. It was a technological investment. Because what happens on the racetrack pushes the limits of innovation. Their engines were tested at 300 kilometers per hour. Their brakes melted under pressure, and their designs were pushed through brutal wind tunnels. The most famous racing creation of that time? BMW M1 1978, a mid-engine sports car, designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro, one of the greatest car designers in history. 277 horsepower. Top speed, 162 miles per hour, 260 kilometers per hour. Built for Group 4 and Group 5 racing. This car was fast, low, aggressive, and unlike anything BMW had ever made. It wasn't just a race car. It was the birth of a new era. In 1972, BMW had quietly formed a special team, BMW Motorsport GmbH. This was a secret squad of engineers, designers, and racers. Their mission? To take regular BMW cars and turn them into beasts. In the years that followed, this team would create the legendary BMW M3, BMW M5, BMW M6, and eventually the M8. These were not just fast cars. They were weapons. They were luxury with fire in the veins. They became the dream cars of a generation. Let's break it down. In 1986, BMW introduced the first M3 E30. This car shocked the world. It had 2.3-liter inline-4 engine, lightweight body, a screaming high-rev engine sound, track-ready suspension, a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of just 6.7 seconds, which was super fast in the 1980s. But what made the M3 legendary wasn't just speed. It was balance. You could drive it on the track and then take it to the grocery store. It was a car that made you feel like a racing driver even if you were just going to work. It won multiple world championships, dominated touring car racing, and built a cult following that continues to this day. By the time the next generation M3 E36 came out in the 1990s, BMW had already sold over 200,000 units of M-series cars, generating over $10 billion in revenue. And they weren't done. As the 1990s began, BMW's identity was fully clear. It was not just luxury like Mercedes. It was not just technology like Audi. It was the ultimate combination of style, sport, and soul. Celebrities started driving BMWs. Musicians mentioned BMW in their lyrics. Entrepreneurs chose the 3 Series as their first luxury car. The 7 Series became the car of choice for diplomats and CEOs. Every BMW model became a statement. The 5 Series meant, "I've made it in life." The 3 Series Coupe meant, "I'm young, rich, and fast." The M5 meant, "I want a supercar in a suit." Even movies got involved. James Bond drove a BMW 750 IL in Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997. Mission: Impossible featured BMW M5 chases. BMW Films was launched. Short cinematic films starring Clive Owen, made to show the emotion of driving. This was brilliant marketing. BMW was no longer just a company. It had become a culture. With growing demand, BMW had to scale fast. They opened or expanded production in Germany, Munich, Dingolfing, Regensburg; South Africa, Rosslyn Plant; United States, Spartanburg, South Carolina, opened in 1994; China, joint ventures in Shenyang; India, Brazil, and more. The Spartanburg plant became a major part of BMW's global strategy. By the early 2000s, it was producing more than 1,000 cars a day, mostly X-Series SUVs, which were booming in demand. Let's look at the numbers to see the transformation. In 1990, BMW sold about 560,000 cars. Revenue, approximately $21 billion. In 2000, sales crossed 1 million units. Revenue, $45 billion. Net profit, over $2 billion. By 2010, BMW Group, including Mini and Rolls-Royce, sold over 1.4 million cars annually. Revenue, $80 billion. Net income, over $4 billion. In just 20 years, BMW had quadrupled in scale. BMW wasn't just chasing speed. They also focused on safety, engineering precision, technology, comfort, sustainability. They introduced features like iDrive, a touchscreen plus dial controller system, heads-up display, adaptive cruise control, run-flat tires, active steering. And all of this came without losing performance. This balance is what made BMW a different beast. Even before the world went electric, BMW began planning for the next era. In 2011, they announced the BMW i brand, their line of electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles. Their first model, BMW i3, launched 2013. A small, futuristic electric city car, made with carbon fiber reinforced plastic, lightweight, designed for sustainability. Followed by BMW i8, a plug-in hybrid sports car, futuristic design, a symbol of what cars could be. BMW was now preparing for a future where speed and sustainability could coexist. Chapter 3: The Age of Challenge. BMW versus the future. In the early 2000s, a new player entered the automotive world: Tesla, led by Elon Musk. At first, traditional companies like BMW didn't take it too seriously. Tesla was small, American, and only made electric cars, which many people still thought were weak, boring, or impractical. But Tesla had something powerful: vision. They weren't just making cars. They were building a movement: clean energy, innovation, and disruption. By 2012, the Tesla Model S arrived. It was luxurious, silent, fast, and ran 300+ miles on a single charge. And suddenly, people started asking, why should I buy a BMW if I can get a Tesla? This was the first time in decades that BMW faced a real threat to its image. Not from Mercedes, not from Audi, but from an outsider. Governments around the world were also changing their laws. Countries like Germany, France, Norway, UK, China began announcing future bans on gasoline and diesel engines. Some said no petrol cars after 2035. Others pushed for 100% EV by 2040. BMW's success had always been built on the internal combustion engine, that deep, powerful roar that made people fall in love with driving. Now the world was saying, turn off that engine or die. This wasn't just a marketing challenge. This was a complete transformation of identity. BMW had to make a decision. Do they go fully electric and leave behind 100 years of engine mastery? Or do they fight back and hold on to tradition? The answer was complicated. Instead of copying Tesla completely, BMW launched a new strategy called the power of choice. Their idea was this: we will give customers whatever powertrain they want: gasoline, diesel, hybrid, or electric. We won't force them. We will offer everything. This sounded smart. BMW started building flexible platforms, meaning the same car could be built with either a gas engine or an electric motor. They began launching new EVs and plug-in hybrids: BMW 330e plug-in hybrid, BMW X5 xDrive 45e, BMW iX3, BMW i4 electric sedan, BMW iX fully electric SUV. These cars were good, elegant, fast, luxurious, and technologically advanced. But there was a problem. They didn't feel revolutionary. They felt like BMWs with batteries, not futuristic visions. In comparison, Tesla was updating its cars over the air, offering autopilot, breaking 0 to 60 miles per hour records, building gigafactories in record time, making headlines daily. BMW's customers loved their cars, but the world's attention was shifting to newer, louder, faster-changing brands. In the 2020s, BMW made a bold design decision. They started releasing cars with huge front grilles, especially on the BMW 7 Series, BMW iX, BMW M3 and M4, G80/G82 models. Traditionally, BMW had a kidney grille, elegant, sporty, compact. But now it was huge, vertical, and extremely bold. The internet reacted immediately, and not in a good way. Car fans called it ugly, too aggressive, a design mistake, ruined face of BMW. Even loyal fans started asking, what happened to BMW's design soul? But BMW stood firm. They said, if people are talking, we're doing something right. We don't want to be boring. It was a risky move, but it created massive attention. BMW made headlines around the world. Some people hated it, others loved it, but no one ignored it. Despite the challenges, BMW remained financially strong. Let's look at the numbers. 2015. Revenue, $100 billion. Net profit, $7 billion. Cars sold, 2.25 million. 2020, pandemic year. Revenue, $106 billion. Net profit, $4.7 billion. Cars sold, 2.3 million. 2023. Revenue, $157 billion. Net profit, $18 billion. Over 2.5 million cars sold. Over 376,000 electric vehicles sold, including hybrids and full EVs. BMW was not dying. It was adapting, but slowly and carefully. BMW also began focusing heavily on technology, voice assistants inside the car, digital dashboards, BMW Operating System 8, over-the-air software updates, gesture control, integration with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They also began partnering with tech companies for autonomous driving, smart parking, artificial intelligence inside the car. They created the BMW Digital Key, allowing your phone to become your car key. The company was sending a clear message. We are not just about engines anymore. We are about innovation. One of BMW's smartest moves in the 2020s was rethinking its brand message. Instead of only focusing on horsepower, top speed, 0 to 60 numbers, they began focusing more on joy, freedom, sustainability, emotion. They redesigned their logo in 2020, making it flat, modern, and minimal, a symbol of digital evolution. Their slogan also evolved, from the ultimate driving machine to a more emotional approach, sheer driving pleasure. They wanted people to remember that a BMW is not just transportation. It's an experience. BMW also continued managing two of the most famous sub-brands in the world, Rolls-Royce, Mini. They had purchased Rolls-Royce in 1998 and Mini in 2000. Both brands were very different. Rolls-Royce, extreme luxury for billionaires. Mini, urban, fun, youthful cars with personality. But BMW handled both brilliantly. They kept the heritage, the design soul, the target audience, and still brought in modern tech, electric variants, and global sales. BMW's long-term strategy, called Neue Klasse, yes, same name as the 1960s revolution, was reintroduced. This time it stands for fully electric platforms, radical design innovation, circular economy, recycling, sustainability, zero emissions, high digital experience. By 2030, BMW plans 50% of all sales to be electric, all Mini and Rolls-Royce models to be fully electric, all factories to be carbon neutral. They also committed over $100 billion for EV development and battery factories. Chapter 4. Legacy, Love, and the Unstoppable Soul of BMW. As BMW entered the 2020s, it stood at the edge of a new era. Not just a new chapter in design, or new technologies, or new electric ambitions, but a new kind of challenge. To stay human in a world becoming more machine. To stay emotional in a time becoming more digital. To stay BMW in a world trying to change what cars mean. Because BMW's story has never been just about building cars. It has always been about something much deeper. You see, when someone buys a BMW, they're not just buying a machine. They're buying confidence, movement, dreams, power that listens, and sometimes the proof that they made it. Ask any passionate BMW driver and they'll tell you, when I sit behind that steering wheel, I feel alive. There's a reason the brand has survived. 2 world wars, economic collapse, legal bans, near bankruptcy, global competition, technological revolutions, and the biggest transformation in car history, electricity. No matter what happened, BMW kept moving, and so did the people who loved it. BMW is the car for the person who doesn't want to show off but wants to feel something, doesn't just drive but lives behind the wheel, doesn't need the fastest 0 to 60 time, but loves how the car hugs the road, wants a car that isn't just smart, but also speaks to the heart. That's why for millions of people, their first BMW is unforgettable. Maybe it was an old 3 Series. Maybe it was a hand-me-down from their father. Maybe it was a second-hand car they saved up years for. Maybe it was the reward they gave themselves after building a business. But it meant something. It wasn't about leather seats. It was about that first morning drive, the first turn, the way the engine whispered, "You're not just going to work today. You're alive." BMW's journey is one of the most powerful business lessons in human history. Here's what it teaches us. 1. You can be reborn more than once. BMW was almost destroyed multiple times. In 1919, when Germany was banned from making planes. In 1945, after their factories were bombed. In 1959, when they were nearly bought by Mercedes. In the 2010s, when Tesla stole the spotlight. But every time, BMW didn't cry. They rebuilt, reimagined, and rose again. In life and business, you will fall. That doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're ready to transform. 2. Don't be afraid to change. BMW didn't say, "We're just an engine company." They became a motorcycle innovator, a car legend, a luxury designer, a racing champion, a technology leader, an electric pioneer. If they had refused to adapt, they would have been gone decades ago. If you don't change, the world will leave you behind. 3. Legacy is built through pain. People respect BMW not because it was perfect, but because it suffered, survived, and kept going. The beauty of BMW is in its imperfections. The wars it had to live through, the markets it lost, the mistakes it made, the criticism it faced. But the soul always remained. As of the latest numbers, BMW Group's total value is over $110 billion. Annual revenue exceeds $157 billion. Net profit over $18 billion per year. Employs 130,000 plus people globally. Presence in over 140 countries. Produces over 2.5 million vehicles every year. Electric and hybrid vehicles make up 25% plus of total sales. Owns and operates BMW, MINI, Rolls-Royce, and BMW Motorrad motorcycles. BMW is not just surviving, it's leading again. But now, the question is not just about money. It's about meaning. As AI grows, as roads become autonomous, as EVs become silent, will BMW's passion still matter? Yes, because BMW is preparing for a future that combines emotion with software, performance with electricity, heritage with innovation. Their upcoming Neue Klasse EVs promise to be faster than ever, more sustainable than ever, more digital than ever, yet still feel like BMWs behind the wheel. That's the secret. BMW refuses to let technology kill emotion. They want to prove you can still feel joy, even in the age of silence. You may never own a BMW. You may never drive one. But the story you've just heard is not really about a car. It's about a group of humans who refuse to quit. A company that rose from ashes, again and again. A symbol of reinvention. And a reminder that nothing is truly over until you give up. BMW lost everything, not once, not twice, but multiple times. And yet here they are, still building, still racing, still dreaming. And maybe that's what you need right now too. Maybe your life has hit a wall. Maybe your dream feels broken. Maybe your identity is being tested. Maybe the world thinks your time is over. Let BMW remind you. You're allowed to collapse, but you are not allowed to stay down. You can reinvent. You can evolve. You can become the ultimate driving machine of your own life. BMW is not just a company. It's a lesson in courage, a story of speed, soul, and survival, and a reminder that every engine that stops can start again. Thank you for watching this full biography. And remember, this story wasn't just told for entertainment. It was told to improve your English, to inspire your mind, and to awaken your heart. If you learned something powerful today, if your English improved with this story, if you felt emotion from a brand's life story, then do one thing right now. Like, share, subscribe, because this channel is here to teach you English and also to change your life, one story at a time.